My name is Matt. We are sitting here in my little home studio, and I'm the creator of the Somatic Consent Engagement System and Somatic Eros. And I have podcasts with interesting people, creatures, humans who just like are game changers. And want to introduce you, Emil. Who are you? And what are you standing for? What are you up to?
Yeah, pleasure to be here in this amazing home of yours. It's so peaceful here. I love it. Um, my name's Emil Nylander. I come from a background in breathwork and yoga that transitioned into being very curious about how my mind works. And before breathwork and yoga, I was more into, Muji, Eckhart Tolle, the non-dual state. I was so drawn into that, and I was almost stuck in that for a while. I was almost like I was escaping form in a way. It felt safe there, and it felt true. Um, Working with the breath brought me back into the body, and then it's been a journey back into stepping back into the world, I would say. So now I offer coaching where I work both with the body as coming into the emotional expression and whatever is suppressed there, as well as working with the breath, um, but also peeling the onion on what we're carrying still from the past, what we're living out that is just a memory from the past that the body doesn't understand is something from the past, right? So mindset training goes in with that. I don't really like the word mindset training, but it's a way, understanding how the mind affects our experience, and then also connecting the deeper realm of oneness into that as well. How can those three aspects be incorporated?
Hmm. You said before that you have somebody you're working with, and you want to share from a perspective of the me space and the we space, and how that goes into transformative work. And you're planning a podcast series about that, when I hear that right?
Somewhat, yeah. So there's I have a friend, a companion whose name is Clara Kazmi. She's a very wise woman. I felt when I first met her that this is not the ordinary person you meet. This is she's special in a way. We can go into that in what way that is exactly, but I felt that she had a lot of access to her own wisdom, let's say. I felt that from the start. And we're starting something called Love Illusion. It's her baby that I'm now invited into, and we're co-creating this. We don't know what it is that wants to be birthed through us, but we do know that we want to merge my perspective, which is more from the we, the inner work, let's say, in the introspection, with her perspective that comes more from the we, the merging with others, the relating to other people, not only in loving relationships, but in general as well. But I think she has had the most focus on romantic relationships and how to relate to each other when you're in that intimate container. And I understand that you have experience from both as well,
Yeah.
which is super interesting. We just had a coffee like 2 weeks ago, the first time that we met actually.
Hmm.
And you showed me some stuff that I was like, wow, this is deep, and I can for sure learn so much from you. That's what I felt.
I mean, the main thing is just now I see you, and this is switching back. The book is not really showing it at all. Maybe I need to put it here. That looks better. Now the book is in the right place. Yeah, I've published that. I've published that book, and yeah, my passion since about 10 years is about consent work, and but not the mental rigid form of consent, just like the thinking in the box and just like this is how it should be or has to be, more from a place of the nervous system. So I'm a total nervous system geek, and I just actually figured out, based on my own research, that in human engagement and connection, there are literally four fundamental raw engagement dynamics. Yeah. So I'm in action for myself. I'm in action for, now we have some advertising. So it's like somebody needs to make money. That's definitely me, and I can skip that. Otherwise, I have to watch the entire kind of shit show. So maybe I could switch that off the next time that we don't see the advertising. Because we're actually visitors. So this is kind of, I'm in action for myself, I'm in action for you, and the other way around, you're in action for yourself and you're in action for me. Yeah. So what that brings down is this very little thing: who is doing the action and who is it for? And I was just actually breaking that down into the nervous system function. So studied the polyvagal theory and just needed to know, how does the nervous system actually really works? And it's a very complex thing, but the main thing is the social engagement system. So human beings looking into each other's eyes and talking with each other. And there's something that calls the neuroception, and the neuroception is detecting between two people talking, am I safe with that person or am I not safe with that person? And when you're not safe with a person, you go on the survival path of your engagement, what is most of the time fight, flight, or appeasing or freezing and then shut down. Or you go into the thrive way, where you actually have a transpersonal experience, spiritual bliss of connection, when it comes to lovemaking and the depth of it. So that happens on the thriving part.
Right. So that's still a part of the sympathetic tone, like the blissful, exciting.
So the interesting dynamic to understand, and I'm super passionate about that, specifically when it comes to yoga or breath work, is that the bliss state is that state of the so-called dorsal parasympathetic. And the dorsal parasympathetic is that part when you're literally on survive, where you shut down and where you collapse, you just out. It's just literally when we die through this part of our nervous system. In the worst case, after fight, flight, and then kind of freeze, and then you shut down, and it's like,
hopefully best case scenario after lovemaking, right? Or during lovemaking.
During lovemaking, then you have the last breath, last heartbeat. That's over, show done. Yeah. So the same part of the dorsal parasympathetic nervous system is when you thrive, when you're safe, when you're in connection, and you reach the place of unity and oneness with another person. Then you dive into this deep state of bliss, and have DMT release, and you have a spiritual experience out of that. So there's two parts of the nervous system, kind of to map that out. That was one of my biggest ahas that I had, in the last decade to figure that out, and that in correlation with who is doing the action, who is it for, allows people to map out what is it that you actually want to do with another person, and what's your intention, where do you want to go with it. And then it comes with the communication piece and all other stuff around that. I see you kind of things clicking in place.
Right. I'm one of those people, a masculine energy perhaps, that wants to figure everything out logically, with pragmatism, and like, oh, so that's how it works, and how can I embody this, instead of embodying something and then like, how did that work? You know what I mean? It's just my default mode. So I'm just so curious, and I feel like I know it's a cliche, but like, honestly, I feel like I don't know anything. Like when someone says nervous system, I have some theory, in the back of my head, like, yeah, I know about the different tones and like parasympathetic, what can bring me into that state. But it's the same with like the subconscious mind. I feel like it's such a mystical realm that we're heading into, and I don't feel like I know anything really. I feel very, very humble in a sense, without undermining myself. I just feel very like a human trying to, wow, I'm one step closer to the piece of the puzzle. When you just said that, that's like, it makes sense.
I mean, it's so fantastic when you look at it from the perspective of the 12-step program. It's just like you just figure out where do you have addictions in your life, and then you just actually make your relationship and connection to the divine, whatever that is for you. It can be nature or the way how you define it, and then you go through all the processes of the 12 steps till you reach the 12th step, what is literally you need to give your gift to another person to help them where they are to find their own path. So what is literally the entire idea of, you are here to give your gift to the world. I'm here to give my gift to the world. And then on one point, you just try to figure out how can you support other people to give their gift to the world. And then you contribute, right?
Oh,
And that's my contribution to the world. That stuff that I do, I've reached an age where I could say just like, okay, I've done my work, I've done my homework, and
you're still young, brother.
yeah, and
you look young at least.
that keeps young, and I just want to share it with the world in a way. And one piece is there's one of my mentors said that from a place. I just want to blow your mind a little bit.
I'm ready.
He said something, and you talked about this, the part of the subconscious mind. There is this part of what we know. Yeah. So everything I know is just like I'm familiar and safe with. And then there's stuff that I know that I don't know. And then there is that part that I don't know that I don't know. So because I cannot know, but this is still existing. And then I opening up new doors. What is a little bit thinking out of the box. What I know is everything that calls in the world of, transformation. I call that the upside down, because the knowledge has literally zero value. It has some values, but if you're not embodied, the head is just carried by the body from A to B. And doing yoga and breath work is just like, how the heck do we come in our body and being an embodied, self-sovereign, autonomous being that has a choice in life? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? So from this part of I know what I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know. So the upside down comes into another category. So and this is the idea of, called inside, outside, upside down. Yeah. So inside is everything that is within your body from your neck down. So what you are aware of, just like, oh my God, just like, actually, I need to go to the bathroom soon. It's just like, it's an information that lands in my brain. So it's inside my body. Yeah. I just notice I'm sitting comfortable here in the cushion. I'm in connection here with you, and I feel in my body sovereign and good. I'm feel joy and I'm comfortable. That's the inside world. And then everything that's not the inside world is outside. The book, the couch, you, the computer, the lights, the cameras. This is all outside. Yeah. So obvious, either inside or outside. Yeah. And then what is not inside and what is not outside is upside down. And this is everything that we know, that we don't know, and that we don't know that we don't know. So the upside down is most of the time people in their life, they're living in their upside down in a contained box about their belief system, about themselves and their surrounding and life they live in. They're not capable to get out of that little box, out of their upside down in what they know. And then they know what they don't know. Okay, I know there's another language, Chinese, but I can't speak it. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, you're just like coming into a spiritual experience, and then you speak a light language that you did not know that you don't know of, right? So the idea is with everything that I'm doing is in the most loving, caring way. So from a place of kind of altruism nearly. It's just like, I just want to guide people into a place where they can drop out of that box. Yeah. And to drop out of the box, it doesn't work in the box. You can, it's like in the Matrix. The Matrix can't tell you that you're in the Matrix because this is where you're blindfolded of life. So how to get out of that box is you need to get somewhere else. You need to land in your body. And how you land in your body is through relationship with the outside. Yeah. And then when you land inside in your body, and this is just like for everybody who is just watching, if there's anybody watching at all, we were joking, just like, what is if all of a sudden 4 million people watching? Well, I don't know at the moment if anybody is watching at all, because it's just the the fun of doing it.
We're talking. Yeah.
Right. And no, don't fuck anything up here. So from the upside down perspective, the challenge that I would give to people right now is, if you want to come into your body, name 3 things you are aware of that I said about myself. Just like, okay, I think I need to go and having a pee, and then but I'm comfortable, I'm soft, my body feels good.
Mm.
You just start bringing your noticing brain into the inside world. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you recognize, yeah, well, I don't know that I actually was aware of, capable of doing that. So when you do breath work or yoga, it's just like you just come in connection. It's just like, yeah, there's some muscles and some stuff. I'm stiff and the nervous system doesn't work. So you just actually make connection with the inside. And the way how I have written that in the book is to come in your body, you make connection with the outside world by start feeling with your skin. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you recognize, oh, that's really cool. I like that.
Mm.
I can feel, I can sense. But then it comes a much higher challenge, is when you go into the upside down, into the box. Yeah. So we can either use our capacity to think to either increase our body sensation and feel good, or we can decrease it and just like, I'm feeling shit.
Mm.
Okay? And most people living their entire life in the upside down box and creating a story looping about themselves and the misery of life, that their entire body is kind of so low in the frequency that they actually get sick.
Right.
They eat shit, they watch shit, they're in the box and they're limited to their little box. So the challenge in the upside down box is just like, okay, tell me a story that is not longer than 1 minute, that is not true, that gives you a good sensation in your body. This is how you get out of the box. This is how you actually jump into a place of, you don't know what you don't know, because you can just tell your body, you tell yourself everything.
Exactly. It's the same with the subconscious mind and the body, right? It doesn't refer to what's real or not. You can basically, it just reacts to what you tell it somehow. The subconscious mind doesn't know if this is an imaginary thought or if it's actually happening around you right now. Like, you can picture that you're on a beach in Thailand, and the subconscious mind will believe that that is happening right now, and
Yeah.
will create emotions that are attached to that as well. And the body might also react to you being on that beach. You might be able to feel even the sound on your toes, right? And like, oh, you're starting to sweat almost. So it's funny how we can actually use the mind in order to like steer our experience in different ways. It's so fascinating by that 1 minute story. So what does that actually do to them? They are pulled out of their loop. Is that the invitation that you bring them to? Or
Yeah, the invitation is just like acknowledging the loop in the first place, that this is very limiting. So yes,
yeah,
and when you just think in terms of yoga and transformative kind of work, breath work, that gets you into your body, that gets you into your awareness. Most people have this belief system about who they are. There is this,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
20 years ago, or even, no, it's nearly 30 years ago, I just started, with satsangs, the Advaita Vedanta Ramana Maharishi lineage of who am I in a way. And you just have the self-inquiry, just like, I am, who am I? And then you just do this, and then you figure out, I is just a thought and doesn't exist. But the I and everything that is looping around the I is literally the box you live in.
Exactly. Everything you add to the I am, right?
Yeah, everything you add to the I am is the box. But then, how can you speak that without saying the word I when you speak about yourself? It's like, okay. So the loop in the box is literally, is just interesting. And knowing that we are capable, creative, flexible, resourceful on ourselves to get ourselves out of the box.
Exactly. What I found really interesting about the mind also is that as the mind actually dictates our experience to a large degree, or like you and I have different realities right now, right? From the same room and the same, like we're talking, but you have another perspective. You're built in another way. You've been trained your mind in another way. Um, and whatever we give meaning to, that's what we're going to find also around us, right? So the brain works in that way. It's like picking up, okay, Emil really thinks this is important, so we should just keep looking for that.
Hmm.
Whether it's neutral, whether it's has positive effects on your well-being or negative, doesn't really give a shit. It will find what it's looking for. It's a goal-seeking machine, basically. The brain, the reticular activating system, or whatever it's called, it will find evidence for whatever you give meaning to, or whatever belief you have about yourself. If you have a belief that I'm not worthy and I will never find a partner, for instance, that's what your brain will look for, and it will find it.
Yeah, it's the as I said that the kind of reaffirming loop is just like a constant. That there are different parts of the mind. They just running in the trinity of the mind. So you have the working mind, and then you have the comparing mind, and then the identification mind. And these three minds, they're just like throwing thoughts at each other to reconfirm their existence.
Mm.
Yeah. And in some people that is so intense and so strong that they actually would never questioning anything that is out, not inside the box. It's just like everything is just like doesn't exist, that is not inside the box. Yeah. And people live their life and they have no idea that they do that. And what I want to say at this point is that when I started with my spiritual journey 30 years ago, it sounds so far away, but that was end of 2000, the last millennia in a way. And I've seen so many people beating up their mind. They're just like trying to kill this poor little thing up there, and just like this, they just want to break it into pieces, and then de-armoring and stuff like that. They're just cracking something open, just like the entire old Osho mentality around that. I think that's sick. Spiritual warfare.
Yeah. Whatever we resist will persist and grow, right? So
Yeah.
whatever we go into fight with will fight back. Like that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So like the way that I see the sort of ego mind, if that's a thing, it's more like an activity. It's more like just a computer software in a sense. So I don't really have to fight it. I just need to understand it, and then bit by bit try and you know dissolve the things that I don't want to carry around in this life, just it causes suffering within me. And I can look at it from different angles rather than being super identified with it, like this is who I am. This is the like one thing that I think happens in, like, say, the spiritual community is that everyone defines the ego in different ways. Some people say that that's just a commercial break.
Commercial break. Please continue.
While some people say that, yeah, it's just your individual expression, right? The ego is just you wanting to express your divine originality. That's one perspective. And the other is like, no, it's the one activity in your mind that wants to keep you separate for survival. It keeps you separate from everything, and it will keep you in fear. It will keep you in survival state as much as it can, because that's how it thinks that you will survive the best. So I tend to define the ego in that way. And why that is that because I've come to the own experience that I don't really need the ego's perspective in order to express myself authentically. It's actually the opposite for me. Like when I'm peeling the layers of who I think I am more and more and more and more, that's when I realize that more wants to flow through me just by me doing nothing. And like you said before, I wanted to touch on that as well. It tends to be more of service rather than me wanting to express in a certain way, if that makes sense. I don't know if you can relate to this. Like the more I peel off, the more I can acknowledge that a sense of like wanting to be of service actually for other people just comes as a natural byproduct of that.
Yeah, and this is so important actually to touch on what you said, because if we are on survive, we just need to make sure that we are surviving. Yeah, and most people live on survive without knowing that they're living on survive. So the entire education system and the way how we have been upbrought society, all this kind of stuff is keeping people low, dump, numb on survive because they are easy to control. Go and do the work, pay your taxes, don't fucking say anything. Yeah. So this is how, and then people recognize, well, this is not my life. I don't want to live that way. But they don't know how to break out of that. And if they start questioning something, they would start questioning themselves in their essence.
Yeah.
But on the not survival part of the nervous system, on the thriving part, the mind to beat up would be really, stupid. But if you in an interpersonal or transpersonal connection, but you live still on survive, there's nowhere to go. You're stuck there. But when you're on the thriving side, your mind is a very creative thing. This you co-create, you build, you get creative, you just make art, you just live in your own style. You just see something and you just MacGyver, situations.
Yeah.
And the way how I see that with that book and what I was bringing to that, figuring it out myself, what is really the essence of stuff, the way how I want to live it and what I want to do is, and you mentioned it's like a software in a way, and the software in itself runs on a hardware. Yeah. But what makes the software and the hardware communicating with each other, yeah, so the upside down and the inside world, is the operation system. And the operation system is literally what I tried to deliver. So it's like, what's the upgrade of your operation system? Are you still running on DOS? Or you have the newest kind of open source operation system that can run every hardware, every software, and you can literally, doesn't matter where you go or what you live, what the language is, you just a friend of mine said that the other day, the most valuable currency that we carry in terms of AI and artificial intelligence, kind of superficial evolvement, the highest currency is love.
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 Yeah. Not laughter, but
No, no,
love.
love. This
Love.
is my German, English, love. But because I tried that with AI, it can't feel this way. It can copy it, it can kind of create it, but there is no love in AI.
Yeah.
Can you love yourself? Can you love others? And this is what the thriving dynamic is, co-creation in the best altruistic way, is you go in service, and you not from a pleasing perspective to survive, to be loved and to acknowledge. No, from a place of, no, I care and I love and I want to give, and I need to give, because that's my gift to give
Yeah.
is the highest essence.
Yeah. I think it's even like our innate nature, because if we fundamentally at one point realize that we are all the same mind, let's say, same consciousness, and it would be very counterproductive to, like, you know hurt oneself, or be in on alignment with that, right? So I think it's just that's it's like sipping through a little bit when we're beginning to learn more about ourselves. I don't know, but that's what I intuitively feel. um I hope it's that way, but then I do also think that we have, as incarnated beings, we have free will to some extent. Maybe not to, like, 100%, because there's so many things that affect us we don't really fully grasp. But I do think we have a choice also, as powerful beings in essence also. So we can choose, like, how to interact with the world. We can choose to not give love. We can choose to give love. We can choose our path. I don't know if you've studied or read the raw material,
No.
RA. So raw is a collective consciousness that were channeled in the 70s and 80s, I think. I went down that rabbit hole a few years ago. I don't remember it to detail, but they wrote a bunch of books, and they have still all the recordings from a few years of channeling this collective being, the collective consciousness. And that collective consciousness explained it that there's there's two paths basically you can walk. You can walk the service to self, you can walk service to others, and it's your choice. The service to self is the largest arc back to source. It's the one that will lead you back. The service to others is the one that will lead you back to source. Service to self will only take you that far before you will understand and realize that merging with the other path will take you back to
Mm.
source. So there's like an end. You will meet an end at that route,
Mhm.
and then you have to go into service to others.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating in that, because you could see in the history and people, there's not many, but some people they've chosen that path. It's going to be a lot of suffering involved, unnecessarily suffering, but it's the path, and they add also contrasts to the world that we live in, right?
Mm.
Because we're also here to experience contrast.
Yeah. And it's fascinating what you just said, I'm a sex educator.
Yeah.
I've been in the tantric world and in the tantric field for now the camera doesn't switch back again. Something is off. And whatever it does, I could just cry.
Keep talking a bit, maybe it switches on.
Hello, hello, hello. No, it doesn't do it. Anyway, I just keep on talking. Well, that's
Annoying, huh?
That's just kind of really annoying. I have to say, just like I'm just kind of a calm person, but if stuff doesn't work for some reason, I don't know what it is. Anyway, okay, I just keep on
And you're a
talking.
German engineer also.
German engineering. No, what I want to say is, so I'm a tantra practitioner, and what we have done over the years is using the power of manifestation, of procreation for sex magic, and then people started to use sex magic for their personal benefit, kind of better car, more power, better job, bigger house, nice partner, more money, all this kind of stuff. And it just creates more ego, and it creates more karma, and it creates more separation. And if you just want to go into the heavens, you just have to be pure in a way, meaning if you create sex magic and you use that energy, just do that for a collective benefit. This is exactly what you just said. Instead of the me space, just like you just create a we space that is altruistic, where everybody is winning. It's not a separation. It's winning for all involved. And how can we collectively include not only the human race? How can we include the entire Earth with nature and everything existing in it? So how can we uplift the vibration of this place we're living here to have an experience that is love and care for each other in a way. So, and that said, if we coming only from this altruistic thing and we only go for the place, for the we space, love and care for everything else, and we neglect the me space, then you go quicker. You have seen it in communism and socialism in this way. Just like now, you just die for the collective, just like ants or bees or something like that. Just like, no, this is not how we're wired. We are individualists. Even altruism exists, and love and care and giving the gift into the world. We need to be capable of self-love and self-care to have a very clear boundary setting, that some stuff you can't do. Is not everybody is wired the same way, and there needs to be individualism, and we need to be capable of stepping off the conditioning that we have to be altruistic and giving our last shirt for the community. It's just like, Yes, but what if, you have people who are, not that well built, or just like having another way of thinking, or they are artists or whatever. So individualism is an important piece, but it only guides the individual that far. And the combination between the both is what really is needed, because if you don't know how to fill up your cup in love, self-love and self-care, and you just burn out, you where do you end up? There is no transformation. I've seen so many guru bullshit around the world in these years of traveling, where gurus taking advantage of the service of the disciple. The Osho thing is just like everybody throwing their money and their wealth and their what they own in there, and just like he has this golden Rolexes and Rolls Royce and stuff like that, and people give their last shirt and completely burn out for the sake and the benefit of the guru. And I think that's sick, and that time is over.
Mm.
So a healthy mix between the me space, love and care, being capable of your individualism, who you are, develop personal individual development in relationship to the to the we space, to the collective,
Mm.
in our environment where we in and where we live in. And I think this is an art form.
Definitely, and it's a fine line. Also, me coming from, I like to speak from my direct experience. I like to talk about myself, basically. Why is it not working? I can talk a little bit while you try and figure it out, maybe.
Yeah, you keep on talking,
So
people listen to you.
yeah, um, so me, I'm coming from a place where I've been focusing a lot on myself. I've had my focus on my introspection, my me trying to figure out who I am, basically, and excluding a lot of the external aspects that goes on around me. It feels really weird now to speak to myself, but I'll try.
Go for it.
Yeah. So what I'm really now feeling the longing for is to step into more of the we, and to relate from a place of not trauma, let's say, not unprocessed, unintegrated stuff or unhealed wounds, but rather coming from a more pure place where my authentic expression shines through, rather than having, like, for instance, I've had a people pleasing pattern before, where I try to please people and to be of service to people from that perspective of not wanting things to become uncomfortable. And that is not a service to anyone. That is basically me collapsing and expecting the other one to act in a certain way to keep me safe. And that just changes the whole thing. I don't know if you heard me, but the thing with it didn't work.
I heard something.
Oh, look, good, it's working.
It's working again.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I have this now. I'm where I feel I'm walking towards integrating with the we. Like I come, like my south node is the I, and I haven't mastered it, but I've done a lot of work, introspection and work on that. While I feel like a real noob when it comes to relating and loving relationships, I feel like I have so much to learn and develop there, and also bring my self-centeredness into that container where I can also offer containment for the woman I'm with. Um, so what I said when you were in the bathroom was like that perspective, and also like me coming from a people pleasing pattern where I feel really uncomfortable when other people are not comfortable, and I'm doing my best to make sure that they feel comfortable so that I feel safe.
Mhm.
Is a very like manipulative tactic almost, where I'm actually depriving people from taking responsibility over how they show up just to keep me safe. And that is there's a very limiting behavior in a way. And I'm working on that, and I've peeled a lot of that away from my behavior and realized that that belongs in the past. But I still have some of that left, where I'm unable to speak up for myself or to speak my truth, even though I know it needs to be heard, just because I'm afraid of how it will be received, and that will make me uncomfortable. You know.
The main thing is what makes this flip or this shift from the from the we space. If we are locked in the we space, yeah, as we talked about that, is we have been all growing up in this way. For example, living here in Sweden, what is 30, 40 years back a social country. What I really love about that, how social this is here. But the me dynamic is so undercover. It's you don't take care about yourself in a way, and if so, you just do that hiddenly, and you don't brag about your gifts and what you're good at. And when you just combine that with the pleaser dynamic that most people have here in Sweden, mostly men that I've seen. Women are there more in their power here. They're more in their power than men. And then you just see the structure of to belong, I need to be nice, and to belong, I just need to provide something that I be loved and accepted. So what literally shuts this capacity of self-love and self-care completely out, or you just have to do that under the cover. And the shutting of the advertising.
Making a lot of money, man.
Oh yeah, a lot of money. So the flip that I'm just really providing with that book and with this idea, and we talked about that when we met the other day in that cafe, is the distinction between direct and indirect experience or pleasure, as we call it. And what comes to a radical awakening of the me space in the first place. Because if we don't know what the me, the we place, no, if we don't know what the me place is, we cannot really be absolutely in the we place, because we conflate the we place with the me place. So we try to get something out of it, and that's not altruism anymore. That's not pure service, because if I'm in service to get something back, then it's not service.
Right.
It has an agenda, and that agenda is literally interfering in the personal and individual and altruistic dynamics. So that switch is super simple. So the indirect dynamic is people go in action to get something back. Yeah. What is a kind of a pleasing thing? So you do something to be loved, to be acknowledged, and accepted in a way. So this is how in this environment people live their life. Yeah. So we just give till we just burn out, and then we don't know that we need the me place to recover. Otherwise, you have a society of burned out people, because everybody knows how high the taxes are in Sweden, and people don't like to pay this high taxes. So you think you are kind of in an altruistic, loving, caring we space where you just like work and just contribute to the society and to a bigger purpose. And then you'll see, well, the money is being used in places where you actually not have agreed upon, and you just pay so much taxes to just pay the rent and the costs for living and whatever. You just need to have a second job, and then you just like, there is not much social possibilities to just actually in your creativity just completely flatten out. So to find the me place, instead of I do something that something comes back, specifically in relationship, interpersonal or just like intimate relationship, people getting annoyed when always something is being provided to be cared for in a way that you haven't asked for. Just like as if somebody is stuffing you, a hot dog and a cup of tea that you don't want. You know? It's like, sorry, I have my individual taste. I ask for it if I want something in the first place.
Yeah.
But the direct experience, this is where the nervous system comes back in,
Mm.
that I shared in the beginning. And this, when I shared that with the hand, it's just, yeah, can you actually touch and feel for yourself without anything is coming back? Can you take your cup of tea and fill up your own cup and drink it? Can you make food for your individual taste, what you want and what you would like? But mainly the skin connection. Can you be in action for yourself
Mm.
and feel yourself while you have permission from the other person to do that? Because this is how we are hardwired in the first place when we are born. So the bonding dynamic of our skin is, when you are an infant, your social engagement system is not developed. You're an egoistic little bastard, you're prince.
Selfish little baby.
You're selfish, and for one reason, to survive. And then we just, in the first year, we never learn that much again in our life than in the first year. We start talking, walking, doing all that stuff.
Mm.
And the important piece here is that if we only continue from that place, we become little selfish pricks. Yeah. And many people have that, people who have been a single child, for example, who never learn to share, who never learn to give. It's just devastating because you never have learned how to put yourself second.
Mm.
You only put yourself first. And then, just don't know how to give your gift, because all what you want is to receive gifts.
Right.
And you're just really good in making money. You have the house, the boat, the car, the property, you name it. You just travel first class, and, you're rich. Like, I see this Zuckerberg, there were just like recently Mick Jagger and I think there was another, who was it? Another actress talking about that, if you have abundance and you're rich, you have billions, it's useless if you don't share it. Yeah.
Mm.
So people are stuck in this world. But the thing is, if you never have learned self-love and self-care, you always contribute to this energy suckers, Zuckerbergs,
Yeah. I mean, isn't it about outsourcing your happiness, basically? Because you've never found that within yourself. So you constantly need that from other people, or having other people, like you need other people to view you in a certain way because you haven't established that sense within you. Or do you think so? Like at the same time, we are also dependent on other people. We've always been that since we were born. So I'm a little bit torn in that sense when it's like, yeah, but you just love yourself. You don't need anyone else. That's not the truth, right?
No, this
Well,
is
we need to establish that within first,
Yes.
right? But then we are dependent on other people as well.
People think, first of all, I just want to go back to this.
Yeah, I'm super curious about
kind
what
of this, the sucker,
Mm.
in a way. And I don't know, maybe he's a little bit autistic or whatever his story is. I have no idea, but there's this pure egoism in there. I don't know if there's any altruistic spark. And I could just talk more about it anyway. But the point is that on a bigger picture, we of course want to be independent, and we need to be independent, and we need to be in a place of self-love and self-care, and being capable of just like, I need to fill up my cup first before I can do something else. Like in an airplane, the air pressure drops, air mask falls down. Before you help others, help yourself. In a way, that's I think it's a healthy part. And when you helped yourself, and when you filled up your cup and it's overflowing, then you give. That's I think the nature of it.
Yeah.
But independent as humans, as mammals, doesn't exist, because we are pair bonders. This is how we are wired, hardwired through our skin, our nervous system. This is as mammals as we're functioning. And instead of being independent, we need to become interdependent. And this interdependent is from a loving, caring, altruistic place. How can I lift up my environment to another frequency? How can I contribute and give my gift to make my surrounding more functional and more loving and caring, not from a place of controlling and being the boss or the, um, on top of the food chain amongst others, or,
You're talking about the dark masculine.
right, the dark masculine. And I'm very passionate about that, because the dark masculine energy in its survival form is competition. We fight each other, then you have the wars, but that's not what interdependency is. As the dark integrated masculine, when you know your shadows, you know your shit, then you come from a place of um, not competition. You come from a place of co-creation. You actually inspire others for
Mm.
their transformation, for their evolution.
Right.
You give your gift because you have seen your shit, you have seen your dark, and instead of beating other people up, it's with their ego, whatever they do, you just help them to see beyond their plate. They just like, how can I help you to get out of the box,
Right.
that you can help other people get out of the box. I don't know if that's a solution, that Zuckerberg or all this, I know Elon Musk, for example. When I see how he's operating, he gives, he shares, he has a bigger picture, he has a vision behind that. I don't know what the vision of other kind of tech billionaires are. But I think, if humanity wants to evolve on another level spiritually, then we have to wake the fuck up.
Yeah, it feels like that. I was really into international politics and all these things before, especially early 2000. I was so into that. My Facebook feed was just like imperialistic bastards and all the warfare. And right now, I feel like I need to filter out some of the things that are happening in the world in order to sustain my attention on the things that I find to be important and relevant for my life right now. Like, I don't think we're made to to soak everything in that is happening. Like the news, watching the news is like it's overwhelming our system on a daily basis, and most people are watching that. Like, most people are watching the news, probably adult people in Sweden, I would say, in one form or another. Imagine the overwhelm that people get just fed by every single day. I mean, I don't think we're wired to be able to sustain that and to be able to handle that. That pressure must be expressed somehow. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the question is, how is it expressed? Is it through violent comments on someone else's post on Instagram, or is it through hitting your child, or is it being an asshole to your wife, or being a jerk at work, whatever, being a, I don't know. It's just, I think we really need to. You said the currency is love. I do agree with that. Like, I've always said, like, it's our focus, it's our sustained attention. What do we keep focusing on throughout the day? Is it your problems, your obstacles, your challenges, your issues, and everything that is wrong with the world, or is it something else? Like, it's up to you. That was a major shift for me, because I've been cynical. I've been very cynical. I've been like, what's the point? Everything is going to shit. I've suffered from panic attacks. I've had depressions. I've had, severe anxiety back in, especially my teenage years. But I realized that, like you said before, so descriptive was like I was really in that box, just like everything was just going on loop. What I've realized is that it's not that difficult to retrain and train your brain into another pattern. It's actually just plasticity.
Mhm.
It's not that hard. And when I first went into this, like, change your beliefs and change your paradigm, uh, I still have some of that within me that I think that I need to be like a neuro engineer to figure that out. But it's really like most of it it comes down to choice. I found. How willing are you?
Mhm.
How eager are you to change your perspective? You can really find beauty in everyone you see, even though that person pissed you off or really hurt you. Like, honestly, you can find something within that person that is divine, sacred, and really precious and beautiful and original to that specific person and soul. And it's about wanting to see that, you know, every single day that you wake up, like this, taking the decision. Like, that's my approach in life.
Yeah, the power of choice. There's this in the book. I've just like different chapters on there, and one of them calls radical responsibility.
Mm.
And radical responsibility is the part of, if we have zero responsibility, you're just literally asocial. You're just like cut off society. And then you have society, what is more like a childish responsibility, kind of just like eye for an eye, toes, a tease for a tease, and it's just all your fault, and I need to be taken care for. I just pay, my entire life, and now I have a right to a pension, and all this kind of stuff. And then you have people like you and I and other, the edge.
The highly evolved, enlightened beings.
No, I wouldn't say that, but the edge worker,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
edge walker, and meaning just like, okay, I don't want to do 9 to 5 to only pay taxes, and I want to contribute, but I just first of all just need to figure out who am I, and I need to figure out what life is all about, and everybody needs to find these answers to these questions,
Yeah.
to come from this childish responsibility, just being spoon-fed and kind of getting all these ideas about how life is pre-digested in school education in our system, and then you just like, this is how the box work, right? So, and then you actually question that box, and that's like, well, there's other stuff, and then you just drop into this, from this child responsibility and adult responsibility, that you just like, no, I make empowered decision and choices about how I want my life to be, and I make that decision, and I make that in correlation maybe with my outside world, but I just make that decision till you recognize you just actually need to make another step, that you're not dependent on this um, childish responsibility of society, the status quo and everything, and then you just go from adult responsibility into high responsibility, and from high responsibility you go into radical responsibility. And what that meant is just radical ownership about everything that's going on in this inside world, and upside down. And but challenge and questioning literally everything.
Yeah.
That means everything, and just coming into the feeling body, the embodiment, the literally aliveness of this life form that is not um, controlled or remoted from other belief systems, from religion, or from politics or whatever, and then you create your own reality. And and in this radical responsibility map, it comes with 3 superpowers, and one of the superpowers is you just don't accept answers to questions that are not from this reality. So people say, yeah, but we do that because we always did that. This is how it is. No, you don't accept these answers. You're just actually questioning these answers, and you just create new questions. They creating another reality. This is the first superpower. The second superpower is you are capable of making choices based on your own decisions that are not on the menu.
Right.
Yeah, this is another one. And another one is questioning everything. I guess there are many superpowers, but there are the 3. So, this is my take on with this little book, my contribution to the world, my gift to the world is coming into the experience of the sensory inflow of your skin. Because what happens there is, when you practice that, and now we're back
Back to
on the
advertising.
advertising thing on the money makers of YouTube. So when you come back to this self-loving, self-caring dynamic in your body, and you said that as well, that neuroplasticity, we just need to questioning how we function. We need to find our own gifts and skills and superpowers in ourselves based on your, when you do this feeling, sensing thing with your skin for 3 months, you put yourself first, just for 3 months, put yourself first, find this foundation, find the base, the raw material of yourself, question everything that you have learned, and cognitive dissonance, you come in connection with all that stuff that's outside of the box that is waiting for you to harvest it. Neuroplasticity, to come into that place, takes 3 months to get over substituting addictive behavior, watching TV, news, being controlled by all this bullshit that is out there to keep you on a small level of thinking. Secondary, being, a sugar junkie, spoon fed with sugar in early age, just like eating all this little,
Yeah, don't go there, man.
caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, all that kind of dopamine related substitution things. And now, the scrolling left and right, TikTok, Facebook Reels,
Porn,
Instagram
it's another
porn
one.
is another one. And how to come back into your sovereignty, your autonomy, because then if you have really found the pure me place, then you can completely give to the we without needing anything back. And whenever you feel like, okay, I have contributed my part here, I withdraw now for self-love, self-care. And that means on one point, you just might want to sit for a 10 days retreat in Vipassana, or you just do a yoga retreat, or you just do something else to recover and fill up your cup.
Yeah. And what that also does, we shouldn't undermine that either. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. David Hawkins' work. I don't know the exact calibration when he states that a person who is very on a very high frequency equals thousands of people who are on a very low frequency. So we need one person who is vibing very high and spreading a lot of love light, let's say, in the world, and that will neutralize maybe 100,000 people who are spreading fear and hate just in the field, right? So like the inner work also coming from that, I don't want to argue for it, like it's an important thing in everyone's life, I think, to definitely to evolve and to learn more about oneself, but it also affects the collective field that way, so we're actually relating to other people that way as well. So it might seem very selfish to sit in meditation, but I think it's one of the most beautiful acts we can also do for everyone, right? Would you agree on that?
Yeah, it's a really high topic for me, as a as a sex educator.
Yeah.
I know that there's a grid out there, an energy field, and one of my superpowers is that I can access the grid, the field. Yeah, somehow energetically I have access to the energy field, and I'm aware of a higher collective vibration on certain days and times.
Like a tone, kind of.
Like a tone. It's an energy field. For example, on Saturday evening, there are a lot of people making love. That's, when there's full moon, there's a lot of people sitting in meditation. When there is, the alignment of Earth, Moon, and some of the stars and planet, there is a higher frequency, in a way. The equinox or midwinter, midsummer, and then when it falls together with a full moon and something like that, is a specific frequency, an energy field I'm aware of. And I've done some plant medicine that has proved that I could literally sense and feel the vibration of it. So I have access to this grid. And what I do is intentionally, when you talk about sex magic, or I mentioned that briefly, where people say just like, I just want to suck from the grid and get more energy to have a better car, or more powered over, more money and bigger car, no, you do the opposite. You just take the purity of your own frequency and your knowledge, and like a meditation, you just access the grid, and you contribute what you can do on a collective level into life here right now, into the frequency. This is what I do intentionally on full moon, for example. So I just talked about, as a sexual educator, I educate men and women and couples into the edging dynamic, just like, meaning how to make love that is not reproductive survival sex, kind of just making more and just hunting the goal of the climax. No, you actually make love with each other in the moment. You dive into the frequency, and what are you doing with that energy? Where do you put that? Do you put that into your community? You just have so much of that energy. You just go, what you just said, into service. And then there's always the question, where do you feed your service energy from? And that's my gift. This is what I want to contribute. And I guess everybody has their own way of sharing their gift, living their gift, giving their gift, and contribute that to life. And I personally think, specifically after a certain age, for most people over 55, there is a second Saturn return. Don't want to talk into spiritual woo-woo stuff, but everybody knows, in the age of 27 till you mid 30, in spiritual terms, the first Saturn return is just like, no, you just come into adolescence. You just wake up into who you are and what you want to become and what you want to do, your career, just like, okay, which direction do I go? And then you live your life, and then all of a sudden you recognize in your 50s, okay, I've fucking done everything that I could to anchor my gift into the world. And the people in the second Saturn return, it's about 56 or something. If you have not given your gift, if you have not really lived your purpose, if you have not really fully anchored who you here, who you became, your soul direction, whatever that is, everybody has certain relationship to soul, whatever it means. But if you have not really lived your essence, you will become frustrated. You will become one of this person looping their bullshit in their little box, and you make everything wrong outside of the box. In the new generation, AI, everything that is happening, you're not capable of evolving, and you just look with this cringy look to everything that's different than that you have been conditioned into. And that sucks. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a bad time, to a bad way to grow old.
Yes. And we know this older people who are just like, oh, they're just
Yeah.
looking suspicious to everything. No, this is not how it should be. No, it's just like, yeah, well, it's different because
Yeah.
everything is evolving. And I wish you could be so creative with us to see how we have been living this new life. When I see the kind of next generation coming up, they are doomed anyway. But the question is just like, as a wisdom keeper, somebody who has lived their life to this point of just as creative as I possibly could, how can I give what I have found to another generation?
Yeah.
Seeing my kids, for example, just like they live their life in a way free and open, but I just wanted to make sure that I can, my own essence contribute to
Yeah,
their
your spark, right?
yeah, so that they can give their spark, to the other generation after them. Just like, so I think that makes life sustainable.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe it's the bigger urge to feel that as a man. I don't know if you have a dominant masculine energy within in your essence. I don't know if you agree with that or not. But like the eagerness or the longing to live a purposeful life, to direct our energy into something that we want to create, let's say, rather than when the feminine energy might be already feeling that connection with life and source in another, from another perspective already. They don't need, I'm speaking very broadly here of course, but they don't need that directional energy to actually make something happen. They're fine just, I'm creating life here. What could be more than that, you know?
Mm.
So I think it's I see this in a lot of men, but I don't see it as often in women. And if I do see it in women, it feels like it comes from a sort of masculine, trying to force a masculine energy into their feminine part. Maybe
Mm.
that's just as a reflection there. Would you agree on that or not? I'm curious. I don't even know if I believe that. Like truly, it's something that I'm investigating right now in myself.
Yeah, the masculine and feminine dynamics. Just to touch on that just a little bit, as you've seen the engagement system, the dark masculine, the light masculine, um, the light feminine, and the light or the dark feminine. So the four different aspects,
Mm.
they belong to all of us,
Yeah.
men or women. So masculine or feminine aspects are not related to gender ideology. So, and the when I talk about the dark integrated masculine, is this part in all of us. They are in power. I'm in power. I'm in charge. I'm in I'm in choice. I'm in
Mm.
choice about my sovereignty, and that belongs to men, women, or all identified gender, and whatever that means, or sex. And that the unhealthy way is the survival part. The unhealthy way is competition, is fighting each other and just trying, and many, I've seen that in the spiritual scene and in the tantra scene, that women just like, they just chop the balls of guys, just like radically. It's just devastating. And the goddess syndrome in the princess girly kind of, just like, look at me, am I pretty, I'm a goddess kind of thing. It doesn't go anywhere. So because it creates this competition, I'm more this, I'm more that, and I'm not good enough because I'm not this, all this kind of stuff. But in the integrated dark masculine, in co-creation, we create with each other. And this is a vital thing, that co-creation and manifestation happens on supporting each other.
Yeah.
And this is the hardest thing that goes back. The integrated dark masculine is this part that I'm trying to describe in the book, about the difference between the direct and indirect approach. Because the indirect approach is just like, no, I'm just like doing something to get something back. But the direct approach is just like, no, I just learn how to fill up my cup for this 3 months or whatever, how long it takes, to rewire your neurological conditioning through neuroplasticity into this place of autonomy and self-agency, to be capable of making this empowered choices about what's happening in your environment. You integrate that, and that's the only the key essence that I can give. Because when men and women and all other people dropping into their divine masculine, whatever it means, without any kind of values in there, then you become an empowered, choiceful being that is pleasant to be around.
Mm.
So you're not stuck in your self-contradiction about your own box and your belief systems. You're just questioning fucking everything in yourself in the first place, and you just face all this discomfort when it comes up in ownership. Just like, there's nobody else's fault when I feel this and that. No, it's just like, no, face it, see it,
Yeah.
embrace it.
Yeah.
and find your resistance against what you don't like about yourself.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
nobody else's fault.
Yeah, that's a tough one. When you realize that, it's like, oh shit, it's me.
Yeah, right. Just like, hey, just have a look in the mirror. Just like, no, it
Yeah,
doesn't look that pretty.
but that's actually a beautiful way of looking at, you know, the collective, or everyone else in your life, like really as mirrors. Like we are basically just mirroring back what we carry inside, right?
Yeah.
That's one. That's a major shift, other than like being adversaries, or actually competing with other people, or like we're mirroring each other so that we can understand more about who we are. Yeah,
Mm.
that's essentially, I think, the bottom line of why we're here, to understand more of what we are, and me from my own unique perspective that you don't have exactly, but it's very similar, but it's not exactly mine, and I'm adding my little spark into the whole, right? That's essentially the larger purpose of why we're here, I think. But just, you know, really stepping into the world with that approach, and seeing people for that, rather than, you know, triggers,
Mm.
or people who make me feel things, or, you know,
Mhm.
it's a big difference.
So, I don't know what the time is. I just need to check that because I know you're as well like a caretaking father, and this is the week where you have your child, right?
Yeah.
And we're sitting here almost for, I don't know, an hour and a half or
Mm.
something and talking. What I
Yeah.
really enjoy, it's really deep. So what's your timetable now? You just need to pick her up from day
Yeah,
school,
I'm
right?
gonna grab some lunch and then pick her up from preschool.
Yeah.
I was thinking about her before when you said that, you know, she doesn't have any siblings. Me and her mom is not in a relationship anymore, a loving relationship like that. Um, but I noticed with her, she's 2.5 years old, and she's so generous with her things and her food, and she wants to offer me stuff all the time. And I think it's like how you what energy you bring into the ownership of things and food and stuff. Like, is it a competition, or is it like, this is ours, like you have your share? And it's so fascinating, like we see that in real time. Like right now she's very generous, despite being in the, you know, says no to everything. She wants to offer me stuff all the time, and I see her offering other people as well. So I'm just very curious to see if that changes
Hmm.
as she grows older, realizing that I have to compete for things, or if it's just, is it natural for us to be giving and compassionate and like offering like that, if we know that we're safe? Maybe that's just our intrinsic behavior. I don't
You
know.
know, there's a German saying, the apple doesn't fall far away from the stem. So meaning, obviously, you have done something right.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, and you can just acknowledge that you're probably good parents and that you're taking care of your child,
Mm.
and you're just an inspiration for the world around you just by acknowledging how generous your child is, and
Mm.
that you're taking a responsibility to have brought another being into the world that you want to take care of, that you want to guide as deep as far as they can go, you know. And this is this, you know, the we space. So how do we teach our children and our people around us that they're loving, caring being, they're taking care of nature and
Yeah.
each other, and they share their gift, they share what they have,
Yeah.
and making sure that they're not burning out, that they're not becoming little kind of service drones for an you know,
Or warrior ants or whatever.
yeah, whatever, you know. It's just like, no, individualism is good,
Mm.
and but from an, you know, collective altruistic place, it's very beneficial.
Yeah. It's beautiful to watch a child grow up like that, just to see the different faces and all of that. So
Yeah.
time flies for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
Okay,
for
yeah.
inviting me, and
Thank
you for
you.
beautiful conversation. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for sitting here with me and letting me show you my little kind of boys cave, you know, my stuff with a um
Very impressive place.
yeah, I just love that studio. And you know, one thing I just want to say to bring it to a completion, because many people, they are stuck in not going in front of a camera and sharing their gift and sharing their skills, stuff like that is one of the key components. Is just like all this technique is here for us. And it's not, I'm not here for the technique, you know. I use the technique to speak to people out there. I use this stuff for being out there. It's not like I'm a slave to it. And that makes such a big difference. So we're making the conscious choice of using it for a higher purpose and higher benefit.
Yeah.
So everybody who is out there a little bit scared about sharing, this is not a planned life at all. It's the first time I do it in this way.
That was
and,
nice though. It was fun.
and it's fun, and I can feel the energy comes from another place. And I appreciate
Yeah, we
that.
just decided to be live literally a minute before we started recording.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And yeah, thank you for being here. And
Thank you. I'm looking forward to learning more from your well of wisdom, for sure.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.